I love supporting and encouraging remote work. I've
Yeah.
been involved with a couple remote first companies. Shout out to Nathan Barry with Kit, who has done a great job of shepherding this. It's a
Yeah.
lot of work to have a successful remote company, right? So tell me a little more about how your program better supports kind of that
Mhm.
remote and even hybrid, and kind of what you see the gaps being in, because there was this COVID happened,
Yeah.
everyone went remote, pretty much everyone went remote.
Yeah.
And there was pluses and minuses to that. And now we're kind of starting to see this shift back to we need to come back into the office because our productivity's down,
Yeah.
which is that a made up thing? I don't know. Would love to hear your stance on that.
To answer the first part, our software and the platform we've built is not just adapted to support remote workers or adapted for people in a distributed team or flexible workspace. We've actually built it designed first for remote and flexible companies. And what that means is that we're not fully focused on synchronization. We think that that's a super important part. You haven't seen this side of it, but we have something called Figgy Chat, and that's our chat version. You think
Cool.
about like Slack, WhatsApp, Discord, that's our version, MS Teams. That's where synchronization can happen because you and I are pinging back and forth. We're working on something in real time. Same thing as this recording, right? We're talking about it in real time. The listeners are going to listen to it asynchronously.
Right.
So I always like to define these terms just in case people aren't aware of them because I had to
Yeah.
learn them. And people would talk about them and I'd be like, what does that even mean? And so I'd
Yeah.
have to Google it myself. But asynchronous is basically the opposite of synchronous, right? So it's where I could share an update with you on my time, you receive it, and you can watch it or do the action in your own time, right? Now, that's super important for remote teams because you're thinking about how the workplace has shifted during the COVID and pandemic. And then now, as we get a little bit more on the norm side of remote, but really we're living in that hybrid flexible state. So, whenever you're having a global workforce, you're having people working in multiple time zones, right? You don't want people to burn out. You don't want them to overwork or have to work hours that aren't within the boundaries of a good life, right? And that's specific to the specific person. I need this asynchronous option to update people and allow them to see it on their own time, but still keep the company aligned and connected.
Yeah.
In our system, we have these elements like in our projects or our task section, you can mention someone and they'll get the notification. These are standard things, but in a remote or hybrid environment where people aren't always in the same office or working at the same time, it's important to have this mechanism of how to keep the parts that are important in front or top of mind for your employees. That's how the organization is going to continuously move forward without having to work all at the same time, all in the same room. So that's just like one example. And instead of like going through all of them, we make sure we have those elements like notifications, mentions. We even have a healthier approach to notification settings. So you can, if I am on the East Coast and a colleague is in the UK, they're 6 hours ahead of me. And so, like, if I am pinging them, like with Slack, I know that this is a problem because it bleeds into your outside of work or your disconnection part.
Yep.
We have a do not disturb, or we have like this setting where you say, okay, I don't want to be contacted on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, or Friday, Saturday, or Sunday, anytime from 6 p.m. to 8 a.m. So I'm not going to
Okay.
receive any messages there. Now that gives you the right to disconnect, and that's actually a law in the UK. And so you have
Oh,
to,
fascinating.
as a yeah, so you as a leader have to maintain this. And how can you maintain that? Well, let's take the forgetfulness of a human and have the system do it for you. So you still send it. Now we also have schedule send too, but you
Right.
send it to that person and they won't get it until the next morning, right? So those are some of the ways that we're thinking about it. And I've sprinkled in the importance of the synchronous, the asynchronous part of this, and just having a system that is intentionally designed for how the new way of working happens versus just an adaptation of it, because then you're going to miss these little nuances that a lot of people don't think about.
Yeah. A couple things I love about that and to expand on is that definition of sync versus async. It's tricky for a lot of
Mhm.
companies and those leaders and workers that maybe have never been remote. The standard, if you're in the office, is synchronous. Hey, I'll
Yeah.
just go to Zach's office. I'll just pop in. Is he busy? Maybe he is busy, but that's okay. I'll just ask this quick question.
Yeah.
Versus, hey, maybe I could find that on my own if it was all
Mhm.
in one place, like
Yep.
Grapevine. But maybe that is actually an asynchronous thing that I don't need the answer right away.